Alright, and we are off.
And right off the bat, we get to see our Cursor Sprite doing some work. And a big 20 is in our very first chest of the game.
We got one of them out of the way already. Quick map check, I saw 1 on Desert Palace, 3 on Eastern, and 6 on Tower of Hera.
Sounds correct to me.
So it's the Dream Light World all crystals. Oh, and we have a bow.
A very nice uncle weapon to have, especially when you have Eastern Palace as a early crystal. You can just jump right in there, and if you know your dark rooms, polish it off immediately. Oh, and Soul Devour picking up a nice 4-bomb drop from the very first guard he shoots down.
Yeah, that's very nice for him, and I'm not sure how they're going to feel about seeing that cape right away so far, but it's there. Yeah, Vitasia's probably going to still opt to kill guards on the way. That's not going to take too much time trying to get the bomb drop at this point, where Soul Devour is just going to kill what he needs to at this point.
Yeah, 30 arrows, more than enough to kill everything that you need to kill down here and escape. So plenty of spare ammo to take out some extra enemies, try to farm that bomb drop.
Yeah, I think with no misses and you just use pots against the ball and chain guard, I think you only need 6 arrows to kill everything, including the rat, assuming you never miss.
Yeah, sounds right to me.
Yeah, green guard goes down in 1, so yeah, 2 blue guards at 2 arrows apiece, and then 1 each for the green guard. Alright, so we have the key already. We just picked it up off that chest. And we'll see what Zelda's chest has here in just a little bit.
Yeah, and both runners electing for 1 pot and 2 arrows to take out the ball and chain guard. Probably not quite as quick as 4 arrows, but still, you know, pretty much equal and saves a little bit of extra ammo.
Yeah, since that's currently their only weapon, you know, ammo conservation's probably on their mind a little bit. But Zelda's chest did have an early bottle, so that'll help when they go into Kakariko. They can check Sick Kid right away.
Yeah, and Red Potion, a very nice fill to have. If they do end up getting early Dark World access, getting going up Aghanim's Tower with Fighter Sword, always nice to have those safeties in your back pocket.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, you know, a clutch boss fight that might save you. Especially if it's something like Cold Stare or Vitreous. Alright, and Vitasia's going to be the first one to make it in the sewers by a couple seconds here.
Yeah, and still without a bomb drop, we will probably see them pause in the snake hallway to spam a few arrows. That's a place where it's really easy to deal a lot of damage to a lot of enemies all in one shot.
Yeah, if you have, you know, a weapon that has unlimited ammo and you don't have a bomb drop, this is one of the best rooms to try to get it in. One more snake. Fortunately, does not get a bomb drop though.
Yeah, picking up a little bit of money, but coming out about equal with Soul Devour in that regard. So at this point, at least, we'll definitely have the 50 rupees needed to buy 10 bombs from the bomb shop in Kakariko if it comes down to it.
Yeah, which you probably will, but he's gonna opt to kill these rats here. Just no luck with the bomb drops. Soldivar are gonna be in the back of escape here. We'll see if there's anything important back here, though. Okay, so Bombos is there, so we won't know whether or not that's important, probably for a little bit.
Yeah, given that we have 3 crystals in the light world, it is entirely possible that we could have both of our medallion dungeons being pendants and not required.
Yeah, in which case then the only reason that that would actually be required is if Fire Rod is locked behind Ice Palace.
Yeah, and those rats do have plenty of arrow drops, but no bombs for Vitasia, and so he leaves without picking up that back of escape.
Yep, he'll keep it in the back of his mind. You know, come back and check it. Hopefully, we're able to find gloves, so you don't have to walk all the way through the sewers again. But we'll see what happens.
And Soul Devour, it looks like taking the route up to Tree Pull, Crab Pull. Oh, Tree Pull, 20 rupees. That's a very nice one to know about early on here.
Yeah, definitely, because he's already got the money for all of Kakariko now. And Crab Hole is just hearts.
And once you've done those 2 things, you're already in the area to check Lumberjack. And so he's going to pop in there and see... Oh, a glove on Lumberjack. Put that together with the tape, and that is... that suggests a particular path for this seed.
Yeah, I think they're Vitasia not just yet, but Soldivar is probably thinking, yeah, I'm going to be going up Aga Tower at this point. But definitely, regardless, if we need it for Dark World access or not, Aga is required on the seed with that glove there.
Yeah, and the only question now is whether we will be going up with a Fighter Sword or with Master Sword. Can be a relatively big difference depending on how comfortable you feel with that ascent up.
Yeah, and who knows what else.
Vitasia picking up a 4 bomb drop from the Crow, I believe, so we'll not have to buy bombs in Kakariko. That was a nice, a little bit too late for their preference, perhaps, but a nice pickup there.
Yeah, probably a little unhappy not to see that until now, and would love to have that probably about 3 minutes ago. But better late than never, because now you can at least route through northern Kakariko with all the bombs. If you don't find any, then you can just buy some before you leave. Well, rupees are not going to be a problem.
Yeah, we've got Zora money. We've got a heart container. We have the Moon Pearl.
Yeah,
so all we need is a sword now to be to have our Dark World access via Aghanim 1 unlocked. Oh, and the lamp, of course. Excuse me.
Yeah, I would not want to. I know it's possible. I know there are some that learn it, but it's like Aga 1 I've never learned in the dark. It's just kind of one of those things, if I need to go through it, I'm going to have the lamp, so.
Yeah, it is maybe not one of the harder dark rooms, but it is, in a way, one of the less fun, as it does require a lot of dancing around on platforms with no edges. Oh, and we do have boots early in the well. That'll sort of make up for it being an Aga 1 seed, in a sense.
Speaking of Aga 1, we're just missing a lamp now.
Yes.
And actually finding the boots there leads me to believe even more that Aga 1 is going to be our Dark World access, because we're going to need those to get to Lumberjack. If we would have found those a lot later, then we would know that maybe we're not going to get those one on the Lumberjack ledge for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. That may be the first gloves that we end up grabbing.
So the bottle merchant is a little bit of a ripoff. Not as bad as it could be, but it is a ripoff still.
And making use of that bottle to check out the sick kid, getting just a piece of heart from him.
Yep, and Vitasia is going to go ahead and buy bombs.
And the mushroom from the back of the bar here. Always kind of interesting because when you get that, you think that maybe you'd like to save it for a fake powder, but without Samaria here and with not a whole lot going to be available in the light world, assuming that they don't find a second pair of gloves somewhere other than behind Aghanim on that lumberjack tree. That can be a interesting play to run up and do early sometimes.
Yeah, and we've got 300 rupees in the library, which Soul Devour's gonna grab, more than likely, so he knows he has Zora money. Because with the Moon Pearl, you can't fake Flipper and check everything up there and pay for Zora right away.
And Soul Devour also electing to just pop straight in here. Has the boots, so they do not need a bomb to open this wall, and will finish up the race game directly. And yeah, using the boots and sword to go through there. I'm not sure what the charge-up time, if that is faster or not, actually.
You got 9 seconds. It looks like he started a little bit trying to get that first dash off, so...
And getting the toy shield for his troubles. Looks like Vitasia's doing the same thing, though.
And then Soul Devour looks like he is going to... Where is he going? Oh, he's going to check Backrocks first.
Yeah, Vitasia, meanwhile, making the more conventional play, save quitting to Link's house and coming on down to check the South Shore Lake Hylia area.
Yep, and Backrocks was just a big 20, so nothing important there. We have a red meringue, and Soul Devour is actually not going to go South Hylia. He's going to go to Eastern first.
Okay, that's an interesting play. Definitely, I would say in this case, if you're feeling confident with your dark rooms, feeling like you can clear Eastern, it may be just 6 of one, half dozen of another. Since right after you finish Eastern, you can save quit, come down to South Shore, and not make too much of a difference.
Yeah, we do find a flute, a bottle of blue potion, and a big 20. So, yeah, don't know if he's going to dip into Eastern now at this point, but has a flute.
Yeah, and Vitasia finding a bottle as well in the flooded region of the dam. So that's 3 in total already.
And they filled them for you, too.
Ooh, Vitasia making great use of bombs there, using just 2 to get all 3 of the side Moldorms. And then, unfortunately, Mini Moldorm Cave itself not really containing too much of value, just some chump change and arrows.
Yeah, so really nothing there. So it looks like he's going to try to make the play over to Ice Rod Cavern. So be careful. Oh.
And that crow comes... Oh, and here is Lamp inside Eastern Palace for Soul Devour. Okay. Technically putting Eastern Palace into logic, so not having to worry about those dark rooms there, and completing the Aghanim 1 puzzle.
Yeah, so AGA 1 is completely accessible now without darkroom strats.
Yeah, and so with that, it'll be kind of interesting to see whether Soul Devour does elect to go down to South Shore or just pop straight up and finish up Aghanim 1 right away.
It will be interesting, but with the flute and the lamp, they do have a couple of locations on Death Mountain to check as well. They can check Spectacle Rock and grab the old man now, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the flute, checking those South Shore locations does get just that little bit quicker, as you can flute down to the dam and jump in straight away, rather than saving quitting to Link's house.
Yeah, but Vitasia's got his flute and his third potion, and also one other thing that makes it really easy to check is the mushroom that they have.
Yeah, definitely. I believe we just got the Canis Samaria out of a chest on Soul Devour's side.
I actually missed that, so I'm going off of chat though, and they're saying Kane, so I'm gonna go with, yeah, you're right, it's Samaria.
So yeah, Lamp, Samaria, and have not seen our third item yet. We have the map and the big key.
Right now, they're probably not thinking about fake. Soul's probably not even thinking about fake powder. They still can't even get in to the cave right now. They would either need to find the hammer or have Dark World access and then get the mirror.
Yeah, and even with the mirror, would need the Titan's mitts in order to get into that area to mirror past, I believe.
Yeah, which means we need to kill Aga at that point. Ooh, and the swag net. We could
Pretty
potentially
stacked
see
Eastern Palace.
Yeah, and since we know we have to kill Aga 1 at some point, we might see some Swaggin' strats.
Yeah, definitely more fun than, especially if they don't get the Master Sword. More fun and has a wider range of effect. On Soul Devour, choosing to jump down into the pots here and pick up those safety furies. Very quick, not something that you typically see in races, but when you're low on health, it's nice as a backup.
Yeah, probably wants to keep the potions. He's got a red potion and a blue potion, but, you know, Eastern Palace, you got fairies really accessible right there. You really don't want to use those safeties until you get to a little bit more of a dangerous area. Yeah, so if you're just joining us, on the Lumberjack Ledge, we have a glove upgrade. So this is an AGA 1 seed, regardless of whether they need it for Dark World access or not, because the mitts are required. Even if they would have the perfect pendant location to where Misery Mire, Turtle Rock, and Ice Palace are all pendants and not crystals, they still need the mitts to be able to get to Ganon's Tower.
Yes, all the Dark World access on Death Mountain is via mitts locked locations. And Soul Devour finishing off Armos Knights, not quite getting the quick kill, having to bounce around with the Red Knight for a little while, but finishing that off without too much problem, getting their first crystal.
Yep, and now we'll see if he decides to make the play. I'm sure he's going to go to Kakariko first, and at least unlock the flute. But then we'll see if he decides to just go to Aga. I personally don't think he's going to go to Aga with so many locations and Light World still left to check.
Yeah, and also with just 5 hearts and green mail, Dark World isn't necessarily some place that you want to hang around in for too long.
Yeah, most things there, even if you're at full health, can kill you in 2 to 3 shots at that point, so not a very friendly place to be. Well, the seed's being really nice with bomb drops with Vitasia now that we're not in escape anymore.
Yeah, quite a few enemies with bombs in those prior specs after all. Just none of them showing up in escape. Yeah, and Soul Devour does, as you say, elect to flute down here, finish up South Shore before heading into the actual Aghanim fight.
Right, Vitasia takes down Almost Knights on his side, gets his first crystal. In the meantime, Soul Devour is going to head to the mini Moldorm Cave, and will probably be disappointed from what he gets there.
Yeah, the interesting thing will be whether he manages to make it over to Ice Rod Cave. Vitasia taking a death before they could get there. Maybe may find something interesting.
Well, on the bright side, them finding the flute, especially for Vitasia, makes it a lot easier to actually get to Ice Rod Cave, because you can just flute to 8 instead of having to run that whole way.
Yeah, absolutely. Flute and Boots make that a significantly quicker check. But it is still just one check sort of out of the way. It can be a while before your mind sort of leads you back there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that could lead them back there is due to having the Moon Pearl so early, they can fake Flipper, especially with as much money as they have. So I probably believe that might be on Vitasia's mind, going back there and then doing a fake Flipper.
Soul Devourer does elect to skip Ice Rod Cave for now, though, fluting up to 1, the top of Death Mountain, and is going to go rescue the old man.
Yep, and then after that, I'm sure he's going to check Spectacle Rock. We'll see if anything's on the top of it. We won't be able to get that if there is, but we'll be able to see what's inside of it and get that if there's something important.
And Vitasia, meanwhile, after his flute activation, immediately hops over there to check the cave that he could not reach on his first attempt.
Yeah, Ice Rod Cave is one of those caves. It's like you skip it once, and then the one time you decide to skip it is when something's actually important inside of there. And Old Man is holding the Master Sword.
Yeah, how do you get lost in there if he has that?
I don't know. But I think it was just a single rupee in Ice Rod Cave, so nothing important. Vitasia is going to turn his mushroom in.
Yep, and Soul Devour, seeing nothing of interest inside or on top of Spectacle Rock, is going to save quick, presumably to Link's house here, and maybe thinking about making their Aghanim play now.
Yeah, and the mushroom is just a piece of heart. Yeah, he's going to make the play to Aga 1. And from the looks of it, Vitasia's going to do the same thing. So Soul Devour will probably have a little bit of an easier time in going up the tower, because he does have Master Sword compared to Vitasia's Fighter Sword.
Yeah, and still just 5 hearts here, or excuse me, 6 hearts for Vitasia, having picked up one. Picked up an extra piece of heart from the witch, but neither of them with a ton of health, and still with green mail. So this can be a bit of a dangerous climb.
Yeah, thankfully they've got plenty of safeties. I mean, they've got the cape if they need to use that, but other than that, they each have 2 blue potions and a red potion too. We're just going to make our way up to the tower. While we're making our way up the tower, we do get to play an extra game. Other than the game we'll play later in the seed, we get to play the blue ball guessing game. So, how many blue balls do you think we're going to get today?
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna be nice and go with. I think the average is. Well, I don't actually know what the mathematical average is, but I'm gonna say my subjective experience of the average is around 3. So I'm gonna guess 3.
Yeah, typically it's like 3 or 4 is usually what we see. I believe the worst they can possibly get is 15.
Yeah, I think the most I've ever actually seen in a randomizer race is 11 or 12.
Yeah, it sounds about right. And as far as that, chat, when it comes to the blue balls, if you are new to the randomizer, it is randomized in the seed, but both players will get the exact same amount. So if we see, 4 on one side, it's going to be 4 on the other way, and there's no way to gain time on it.
Oh, and Vitasia down to just half a heart, popping their red potion just in the nick of time there.
Yep, has to use it, and thankfully we have that many safeties this early. Because right now, going up Ega Tower, Vitasia actually has less equipment than you typically would in a vanilla run. You would have at least Master Sword, and even if you pick up no pieces of heart, you would have 7 heart containers at the moment.
Yeah, and doing a nice NMG-esque strat there, tapping the sword on the wall to attract those red guards, put them in a position for you. It's a little bit harder when you don't have the Master Sword to kill them in one quick double spin.
Alright, but we've got Ega 1 on Soul Devour's side. So far, no blue balls.
Yeah, very nice first phase pre-lightning, getting the maximum number of hits that's possible.
Yeah, so I think the most they can get now is 3. Assuming no misses. Okay, we're at least getting 1. We don't get the God Ega 1 this time.
The dream is dead.
Alright, so only 1 blue ball. And it looks like we did have somebody in chat accurately guess how many blue balls we were going to have.
And your reward is a sense of satisfaction, and Soul Devour's reward for completing Aga 1 is the Ice Rod sitting there on Pyramid Ledge.
And of course, you see the pendant Turtle Rock after that, with our other pendants being Misery Mire and Thieves Town.
Yeah, so our Bombos medallion that we picked up, that Soul Devourer picked up early, being able to bomb it and escape there, potentially not coming into play here, as both of our medallion dungeons are pendants.
Yeah, and then it looked like the other 5/6 crystal is going to be Skull Woods. So Tower of Hera and Skull Woods are our 5/6 crystals this seed. And Vitasia takes down Aga 1.
Yeah, also getting the optimal fight there with just 1 blue ball. Yeah, and Soul Devourer coming up to the river, realizing that without some combination of the gloves, the hammer, the hook shot, the flippers, there's no way to get over to West Dark World, and electing to just jump right back into Light World, get those gloves off the Lumberjack, and guarantee themselves a little bit of progression.
Yeah, Vitasia doing the same thing. Really, all you have access to at that point right now is Pod. Which you do have the bow and the lamp, so pretty much all of Pod is accessible with the exception of Helmasaur King. But we do get our first gloves upgrade.
Yeah, and of course, having defeated Aghanim 1, we also get some increased enemy density in the light overworld. Another thing that can be kind of a hassle when you're sitting on just 5 or 6 hearts in green mail.
B Cruz, as far as Fire Rod being on Laser Bridge of Turtle Rock, that is actually a possibility. The keys have to be set up perfectly, but there is a way to actually get to the Laser Bridge without needing to go into the Fire Rod room. Vitasia's going to opt to go right back in.
Yeah, with just first tier gloves here, they will be able to go north to Catfish, but without the hook shot, will not be able to cross over into West Dark World here.
Yeah, has access to pod, so maybe he's just thinking about dipping into pod right away, since, you know, so far that really didn't open anything up as far as what they have. So unless there's another Myths upgrade that's available, which the only place I believe they haven't checked that they have access to is Aghanis Cave.
Yeah, and what we're seeing from Soul Devour here, of course out of logic, but after checking Ice Rod Cave, jumped in, did that fake flipper, and saw, for now, just bombs on Lake Hylia Island.
Draco Falcone, yes. They've only done Eastern Palace Ega 1 so far. We're getting our first kind of Dark World check. Soul Devour's sequence breaking right now and checking Zora's and water areas. Catfish just having a big 20.
Yeah, and unfortunately, what you like to do in this situation is having the mirror so that you can mirror out, jump up and pay King Zora directly. In this case, Vitasia is just going to walk back, and like you said, I think he must be thinking pod is the play in this case.
Yeah, because Gloves, the only other thing Gloves opened up other than Catfish is Zora. So that means, as far as sequence, from what we've seen, Vitasia doesn't know this because he hasn't checked Death Mountain like Soul Devour has. We know there was only Master Sword up there. Other than that, we've got Aghanis Cave and Pod.
And Soul Devour getting that water walk glitch using the Moon Pearl in the inventory, accidentally talking to the Fairy Fountain there, but picking up not too much value from in those caves.
Yep, just a big 20.
Doing a little bit of wiggle in the doorway to reset water walk, but once you've got it, this is a very nice thing to have coming up to Zora without the flippers, because it will let you move pretty quickly over the deep water.
Yeah, and then we see on Zora Ledge we only have 5 rupees, so nothing important there. Oh, unfortunately, Vitasia gets hit with a spear in the back and sends Kiki running.
Yeah, fortunately, plenty of money left to pay the monkey.
And Zora is a life lesson today. Only 20 rupees for the price of 500.
Maybe it's like a commemorative 20 rupee coin or something.
I would hope so if you're paying that much for it. Maybe King Hyrule's first coronation or something like that.
Yeah, and as Vitasia enters pod, Soul Devour electing to come up here and turn in his mushroom.
Yeah, we know that's just a piece of heart. So not that it mattered, because we started with the bow, but pod is not bow locked. And so is going to check the desert ledge, which we just have a piece of heart, and Aghanis.
Yeah, and Vitasia making a interesting decision because there are lots of different ways to route Palace of Darkness. Even though they do have the bow, using that small key on the first door to come in here sort of the traditional way and pull out, in this case, unfortunately, just the map.
Yep, and we get a key there.
But then this approach means that they can drop straight down, pick up that chest containing a key, and potentially only put themselves through the bow-locked region once, rather than having to go back there in the case that they end up needing something from one of those two chests in the basement. So when you don't have the mirror to warp back and forth through pod, it can be a nice choice.
They do not have Titan's Mist. They only have the Power Glove, and Misery Mire is our green. Alright, a couple keys, and Vitasia's probably going to do it, I would assume, do a Death Warp. Nope, it's going to just walk out. Or run out in this case.
Yeah, with Green Mail, a Death Warp relatively quick, but I suppose it does just leave you with 4 hearts in a Dark World dungeon, which is maybe not where you want to be.
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, Soldivar pretty much exhausting all of his options, checking Dark World at this point. He's gonna get the big 20, I believe it was, off of Catfish, and then probably immediately head to Pod. He does save and quit though, which he'll probably just run right back in the Dark World. I think it's a little bit quicker.
Yeah, the one advantage of AGA-1 Seeds giving you that extra entry point to the Dark World, which is kind of convenient compared to the Portal 1 screen south of Link's house, and Vitasia picking up the mitts inside the top level chest up there on the first floor of Palace of Darkness.
Yep, so Pod was definitely the play they needed to make. We'll see if there's anything more value in here though.
Yeah, and interestingly with that, they still don't have perhaps their ideal Dark World access. With the mitts, only the in the sort of main continent, apart from up on Death Mountain, that only opens up one Dark World warp over by Kakariko and Thieves Town.
Yeah, that is very true. So they're hoping to find a hammer soon so they don't have to continuously just use that portal to get in a Dark World, or finding something like a hook shot that'll let them at least get to West Dark World from the pyramid.
Yeah, hookshot may be the ideal item find for any of them at this point, as that will open up not just West Death World, but also all of Death Mountain, both light and dark.
Yeah, it will do that as well. Well, everything except Tower of Hera. They won't have access to Tower of Hera just yet.
Oh yeah, absolutely true.
I mean, right now it could be Death World. They have 6 hearts in Green Mail. That's pretty close to being Death World.
Yeah, very true.
Well, that's something you want before you come into Pod.
Yeah, at least this is one of the nicer places to find it, I guess, as at least this will let you mirror back after you check that big chest rather than having to walk backwards to the dark maze.
Yeah, and now that they actually have the mirror, when they save and quit from the Dark World, if they do that, it'll just immediately send them back to the pyramid. Which we're about to find out. So yeah, definitely some value in Pod though. We got mitts and mirror, so two major items.
Yeah, and I believe we saw 4 of 5 items in total, so I think the Talmasaur still has one. My counting isn't the best.
I believe you're correct on that.
Yeah, Soul Devour electing to take that Death Warp back to the front of Palace of Darkness. So we do get to see the Curse or Death animation, or Death Sprite, that blue screen. And Vitasia making the play directly up into Skull Woods. This is kind of interesting because they can't finish it, and there are only 2 items inside. But with Palace of Dark, or excuse me, with Thieves Town being a crystal, or excuse me, not being a crystal, being a pendant, potentially leads you to weight Skull Woods a little bit higher.
I would say so, as well as Thieves Town. It is a pendant, however, they don't have a hammer, and dipping into a pendant Thieves Town without the hammer, knowing that you could potentially leave an item behind, is usually not something you want to do.
Yeah, definitely not the ideal.
And I know, especially with Skull Woods, not so much anymore, but it used to be, a couple versions back, Skull Woods, pretty much every single time would have some kind of progression in here. The value in Skull Woods, even as a pendant, you would just come in here because you would find progression here. That was just something you did.
Yeah, so far just one item in Skull Woods for Vitasia. Taking the back route, or front route, I suppose, the route that goes through the open door to make best use of their ability to mirror back in and out.
Yep, and we found both items, just 11 arrows total in Skull Woods, so nothing else there.
Yeah, now it looks like we may see a bumper ledge check and routing of the items, because I don't believe that Tasia has checked Bonk Rocks yet, so we could get that entire sort of north mini loop here.
No, Vitasia did check Bonk Rocks, who takes a death, unfortunately. Vitasia checked Bonk Rocks, well, before going to do Flute. And hopefully Soul Devour remembers, because he actually skipped the chest the mitts are in. Hopefully he remembers that chest. Just walking back.
Yeah.
It's going to do a death warp when you have the mirror. Okay, looks like he didn't forget that chest. He is going back in.
Okay, good.
So and, nothing in chest game.
Yeah, Vitasia, meanwhile, electing not to go on that north mini loop and finishing off the more item-dense locations down here in Village of Outcasts.
Yep, and looks like we are going to be taking a dip into the Pendant Thieves Town. Find a big key on the first chest.
Yeah, with the mirror in hand, I think at least the first 4 is definitely a good play.
Yeah, I agree, and then depending on how many items you find here, you kind of make the decision to go deeper or not. But there's the first one, just a 5-arrow upgrade.
Yeah, and down to just 1 heart again. Still with just that green mail and 6 hearts total. Anywhere in the Dark World, kind of a precarious situation.
All right, there's our second. We got the Sank Heart, which was a very well-timed pickup. And bombs.
Yeah, and with 3 items in the front, probably going to make that choice to, just dip out immediately.
Yeah, it's a gamble, but it's not a bad gamble right now at this point. You still have a lot of places to check for progression. And going to the back, especially knowing that you don't have the hammer and you could just be clearing this entire thing for nothing. And there's our 4th potion and another one filled with blue goo.
Yeah, so for everything that our seed hasn't given us in health, it has given us in terms of safeties, at least.
Yeah, with how little health they've picked up this seed, I'm sure they're happy just to see all these potions and money so they can even buy potions if they have to use them. Alright, just a big 20 in the bombable hut.
Yeah, and Vitasia pausing a second, maybe thinking, do I want to deal with the Smiths now or later? And electing to just hop down and finish off digging game first. You may still come back here for the Smiths, since, of course, you can't enter digging game with somebody following you.
And we have a fire rod, so now Skull Woods is open.
Absolutely, and with that, we may see Vitasia continue on with that plan, or we may see them hop right back up into Skull Woods and finish off that boss. Kind of scary with just the fire sword, but it is a crystal dungeon.
Yeah, with no... and I think actually the scarier part right now is if we find a hook shot right now, they have access to all of Dark Death Mountain. If Vitasia doesn't have the medallion yet, but if Turtle Rock is Bombos, Turtle Rock could have progression in it with 7 hearts.
Yeah, that pendant Turtle Rock always weighing heavily on the back of your mind. And as Vitasia continues on this fetch quest, Soul Devour is coming up to check these mirrorable locations, getting just a piece of heart out of Graveyard Ledge. We'll be checking presumably King's Tomb right after that.
Oh yeah, we would need Hammer too, that's right. So we would need Hammer and Hookshot to get to Turtle Rock, assuming it's Bombos.
Oh yes, absolutely true. It's easy to forget that you actually have to hammer those pegs in.
We're getting quite a bit of health in the Dark World, at least, or back up to 9 hearts now. That was nice and quick. But nothing in King's Tomb that was important. Yep, 50 rupees. Vitasia hasn't done Zora yet, but still at 885 rupees. You've done all the mini games in the Dark World. You've paid Kiki off. Really, you're probably not too worried about money anymore at this point.
Yeah, and with 3 of your 4 bottles still remaining filled, even with that red potion, or no, that was Soul Devour that used up that red potion. So 4 safeties available. You're not really too concerned about buying potions, even.
Yeah, that too.
Dropping that chest before entering the cave, sometimes known as Hype. Let's see how we do here. We get a fire shield, kind of nice. A big 20, a 5, a piece of heart, and a 5.
I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, maybe 2 out of 10, because I think the fire shield is underrated. I like it a lot, but still, definitely not progression.
Only reason I like the fire shield is if I have it before blind, because it just makes that fight a little bit easier. You can block all those fireballs. let's see what the purple chest has. 50 rupees.
We've got money everywhere, and still searching for our progression.
Alright, and Vitasia probably making one of the better plays that you can make right now, and heading to the mire area.
Yeah, with Boots and Lamp, Crystal Desert Palace is available via this route.
Yeah, and we've got the shed and checkerboard cave as well.
Oh, and getting the one-frame dash, I believe, to get past the balls and mire shed.
Yeah, and we've got the Cane of Brian.
Getting the second best cane is the reward. Although their file names were Burn Best Cane, so maybe they're happy to receive that.
I'm sure they're pretty happy. And yeah, Mire was Ether as well, so we don't have access to Mire at all right now. It looked like for a second Vitasia was going to say nope to the heart container, but probably thought it's like, yeah, I'm only at 9 hearts still, I probably should grab this.
Yeah, if I'm still on green mail, then I'm thinking 10 is maybe about the limit where I will maybe think about stop grabbing hearts.
Yeah, and even then, depending, to me, it kind of depends what dungeons I have to go to. Turtle Rock's a pendant, so that one's not so bad. But think about Cold Stare with green mail. And right now, you don't have the best weapons for him either. You're probably thinking, I want hearts, because Cold Stare is going to hit like a truck.
Yeah, and both are runners with the boots, of course, but Desert Palace still not boots locked with the map up on the torch.
Yeah, so I'm expecting to see something in Swamp, because I think if we don't see anything here, then there's got to be something in Hera.
Yeah, the dream is still alive of Hammer in Swamp Palace map chest, I believe. They haven't found the flippers yet, of course, so they will need those. But if we're imagining scary situations for our runners to end up in, that's still one that's not quite off the table.
Well, there's scarier one possible, and if they find the flippers, it's very possible as well. Hammer inside Ice Palace.
Definitely true.
There is also the one item in Thieves Town that we haven't gotten to as well. There could be, that item could very likely be accessible right now.
Yeah, still just a 1 in 4 chance, I think, that item is hammer locked.
Yes. And I'm not sure if we've seen both items in Desert yet. I know I've seen at least one of them. I believe it was the 300 rupees.
Yeah, I believe that's the only one.
Soul Devourer is going to say no to that heart container with 8 hearts. No, 9. He has that 9, okay.
Yeah, everybody has their different cutoffs, I suppose. And Vitasia making good use of that fire rod to get 2 of those heads dealt with quickly, but now with just the fighter sword, is going to have to spend a little bit longer.
Yeah, thankfully he got 1 shot fire rod shot off, so it's not going to be as bad. He's already at half of his normal health. Alright, well, there's our third sword.
Yeah, and Soul Devour, meanwhile, coming out of Mire area, electing not to do Desert and just hopping straight up here into Harrow.
Yeah, it's it's a little bit of a gamble because you're already in the Desert Palace area. It was already fully clearable, so you could have just cleared it while you were there and not had to worry, hopefully, about ever coming back to this area. But there's Hammer.
Yeah, that kind of makes it worth it.
Guess what that opens up? Well, potentially opens up, I guess.
Well, of course, we have a Helmasaur that we can go back and take care of now. We have Turtle Rock that we can climb up and see.
Yeah, and if that's Bombos, it's not only is it open, it's fully clearable.
Wow, yeah, absolutely. With their acquisition of the Fire Rod, that is definitely the case.
So I guess the question is, you have all these items, and it gave you all the items for Turtle Rock as nicely as it did. If you go up there and you're Soul Devour, because if Vitasia goes up there, he's still missing Bombos right now. Do you go into Turtle Rock at that point?
I think it depends on how Soul Devour is feeling in terms of their position in the race. And if I were Soul Devour right now, I would say I feel pretty even. I had a fine escape. None of my routing has been particularly off base. So from Soul Devour's perspective, if it were me, I would say I don't go in there. But it's a tough gamble to make or not.
Yeah, I guess how I would think about it myself is if it's Bombos, I'm thinking I found Bombos in the back of Escape. If my opponent missed that, they might not have went back to check it yet with how progression's kind of been. It's never kind of forced you to go back there to check for something. And then if there's something in there, that might put me even further in the lead because who knows how long it's going to be for them to actually get Bombos to even get inside of there.
Yeah, absolutely true. It is potentially an advantage that you want to press.
We are getting a Mothia fight from Vitasia, though.
Yeah, thankfully with that Master Sword from Landmolus, making this fight a little bit easier. Still not entirely fun without a half magic, but we do have plenty of safeties. Oh,
but
unfortunately taking a death before he can actually use them.
Yeah, unfortunately. But interesting, since we do have access to Hera as well as that Fire Rod, that actually did put the Pyramid Fairy in logic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of our 5/6 crystals in dungeons that are fully clearable. As we do see Soul Devour in here, making use of the hammer to make absolutely sure to skip the fast phase of Moldorm. Oh, and using a Master Sword spin deals the same amount of effective damage as far as Moldorm goes, and getting the blue boomerang for its trouble.
Yep, so Hammer and the Bloomerang and Tower of Hera. And with that newly found hammer is going to head over to Eastern Death Mountain. We have plenty of items over here right now. Vitasia already set up ready to use that potion for if and when he needs it. There, he uses it right there. I was going to be like, I expect to see some Fire Rod now. And he does get the kill.
Yeah, and Soul Devour checking and seeing Quake on top of Turtle Rock. So we don't know what choice they would have taken, but without that medallion, no choice available to them yet at this juncture.
Yeah, so I'm sure at this point, Soul Devour is thinking, I don't want to find Quake.
Yeah, and making the heads-up play, as long as they're in Dark World up here on Death Mountain, to hop over and check this one chest inside Hookshot Cave that you can reach just with the boots. This is a very easy one to miss if you're not thinking about it carefully.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, chat, yes, the hookshot can be in that chest.
Just finding bombs here today, though, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you think about it.
Well, there's Ether. So Misery Mire is open and completable now.
Yeah, and after Soul Devour finishes up his East Death Mountain checks, I wonder if we might not see that draw him back down there to potentially take care of that and that Desert Palace dungeon, which was fully completable.
That's very possible. I would probably check Desert first, see if there's any progression there. He'll see the sword, but not any progression. Maybe just dips into Mire then.
Yeah, Vitasia taking the opportunity to finish off that north mini loop there. Not going to find anything of relevance there, as we've seen from Soul Devour.
Yeah, and I think after this, I think Vitasia's only option is to head up Death Mountain. Because he is going to flute.
And the bottom two of Paradox Cave give us nothing with just bombs and a big 20, but the meat of it is right up here in with these mini Moldors. Nothing on the left side.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and Quake on the right side.
So you just opened, so Death Mountain opened up both of our pendant dungeons.
Yeah, and Soul Devour sitting here on this select screen for a second, probably thinking, do I want to head back up to Death Mountain and jump in Turtle Rock immediately, or do I want to come down here and make a different play? Electing to run out of Sanctuary, so maybe making a overworld check over here, or potentially going into Skull Woods.
Probably going into Skull Woods because might be thinking about the Pyramid Fairy at this point. And I don't believe Soul Devour made a Skull Woods play at all.
Oh yeah, very good point. Without having even made a dip in here, and with this being fully completable as well, definitely worthwhile play. Vitasia, meanwhile, did save the old man, pick up his tempered sword, and will be picking up his hammer right down these stairs.
Yep, he is going to have to go to the basement because the big key we know is in the basement. So we'll see if he gets a coffee break or not. Irish Shiny, you only need the book to read the pedestal. You don't need the book to access the pedestal. Get the ice rod strats on the switch for the coffee break.
Yeah, and that blinking cursor for the coffee break really very disconcerting. Kind of makes me feel like my browser's about to die.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and Soul Devour coming around the back here, as our tracker pointed out to us, he did hop in there and get the arrows from Skull Woods. So he is just looking to finish off Mothula in this dungeon.
Yeah, and then I'm probably expecting for him to check the Pyramid Fairy, seeing if anything's there. If not, then, you know, makes that decision. Do I check Desert and Mire, or do I go up to Turtle Rock?
Yeah, and having a very nice fight there. No tempered for Soul Devour yet, but getting a lot of nice slashes in, coupled with fire rods that actually deal damage, don't get canceled by the spikes, and makes very quick work of Master Sword Mothula.
Yeah. So I wonder what Vitasia is going to actually do after finishing Hera. I'm sure it's going to check Death Mountain, Dark Death Mountain. It's going to get both Ether, Quake. He'll be able to check what Turtle Rock is. So he's going to know both Mire and Turtle Rock are open. Wonder
Yeah,
where he
meanwhile, we have
goes.
Soul Devour here coming to Link's house, going into the Dark World here, maybe thinking about Swamp Palace?
No, it would be Pyramid Fairy because he needs flippers to even think about going in a swamp right now.
Yes, of course.
So we'll see if Pyramid Fairy was the thing. If not, it's looking more likely that there's either progression that's in one of the pendant dungeons or on the pedestal. Or both.
And Soul Devour, taking the quick route up. When you've completed Aghawan, you can just mirror over here, take the Aghanim portal back in, and do the least amount of walking possible.
Nope, accidentally picks the bomb up.
Sometimes you're just that little bit too eager to get in there, and then you gotta wait for another 3 seconds.
Well, a mirror shield, so...
Yeah, and of course, with Cape and the Cane of Burna already in our runner's possession, they didn't have to worry about this, but now they have all 3 items that put Laser Bridge in Turtle Rock into Logic.
Okay, so chat, kind of with the areas we have left, it's pretty much Mire, Turtle Rock. I don't think Soul Devour checked Spike Cave when he was on Dark Death Mountain. So that's potential. But I want you to guess where the progression is.
Yeah, flippers and hookshot. I believe all that we are looking for at this point for a go mode for Soul Devour.
That is correct. Actually, that's all we're looking for, a go mode for both of them right now, actually. Because we don't know if there's progression inside of the pendant dungeons that's required, so we can't even say that Ether and Quake are needed. It's really just hookshot and flippers for both. So Vitasia finishing up the eastern side of Death Mountain. Leaves that portal up there. We'll see if he decides to take it back and check out Spike Cave before going to his next area. And so Devour is making his way through Desert Palace on the way to Lanmolas. Vitasia checking out the Paradox Cave. About to pick up his Quake Medallion in a little bit.
Yeah, and Soldivar, of course, will be getting that Tempered Sword from Landmolus, considering that their next play almost certainly going to be one of those 2 medallion dungeons. That's a very nice sword to have for both of those.
Yeah, because really, unless he wants to go just check Spike Cave, he's got to dip one of the pendant dungeons at this point, I think.
Yeah, and Vitasia making the bomb jump over here. Looks like they will be going back to check, presumably Spike Cave, given that they left their mirror portal up there.
Yeah, the only other thing I could see is that they know that Turtle Rock is Quake. They just pick Quake up. They might just go right to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and coming around, looks like that may be the option.
Yeah, they could go to Ice Palace, but there would be fake Flipper in Ice Palace. So we know Flippers won't be there. Hookshot could potentially be there. But the idea of fake Flippering into Ice when you're looking for 2 items to go to Go Mode and one of those are the Flippers, it's not a very ideal situation when you have other places to check.
Yeah, if Swamp wasn't a crystal, then it could be on the table, since you might not need those Flippers for anything else. With Swamp being crystal, I don't think it's really worth it, yeah.
Yeah, but Vitasia is making the play into Turtle Rock. The most potential items of any location you can check right now. You've got 6 items here. 5 in the dungeon, and then you've got Mimic Cave.
And Turtle Rock was fire rod locked with just the map inside that first accessible chest.
So probably making the smartest decision for him. He hasn't been inside Thieves Town yet. And I expect that when he gets the 3 items here, he's not dipping out and he's going all the way through until he finds the 4th item. Maybe even just clearing the dungeon immediately.
Yeah, potentially a sensible choice.
And Vitasia does remember that to go the long way because I don't have the hook shot.
Yeah, very, very easy to take the short way, open your menu, find you don't have the hook shot, and then you have to take the loop of shame going back around.
So 2 keys in the fire rod locked room. Soldivar picks up his 3rd item and will continue on through the dungeon. So we will find out what that 4th item is. And probably the scariest part about Turtle Rock is about to happen. You're going into the Chain Chomp room with Green Mail.
Yeah, those guys deal quite a bit of damage.
I want to say it's 4 hearts or more. It's either 4 or 5. And you can see how careful Vitasia's being in that room. It's like, I'm not touching these chain chomps. I know what they can do to me right now.
Yeah, and doing very well to avoid them. Sometimes even when you are being careful, they have just that little bit of randomness that lets them walk into you.
Yeah, and Regaro, yes, Hookshot will only open up those 3 chests, so as the runner, they're probably hoping to find Hookshot before Flippers, because then Flippers means Go Mode Swamp, Go Mode Ice at that point.
And Soul Devour does find the 4th item in Thieves Town, just a 50 rupee stack up here in the bombable floor room.
Okay, and we see the bunny sprite for the cursor, which ends up being the paperclip.
That one I had never seen before. That's quite something.
Yeah, I think that might be one of my favorite bunny sprites.
Oh, and Soul Devour does elect to mirror out, does not continue on to even collect the maiden, let alone fight blind.
So that's probably a good thing for Vitasia if this becomes a pedestal seed, because he would have to dip inside there again himself anyways, not just for the 4th item, but also for blind himself.
And Soul Devour now fluted to 1, fluted back to 3. Looks like maybe Hammer Pegs is their choice right now.
Yeah, Hammer Pegs has not been checked yet. I believe by either runner, actually.
Yeah, I think you're correct. When Vitasia did it, he did not have the hammer to check them.
Well, let's see if something's here. Nope, just $20. Chaz, the caster, they do pick their own sprites, but we were having some technical difficulties with the seed, and it ended up having to be sent to them. Well, there's Flippers in Mimic Cave. So I think what happened is they agreed. We're not sure about this. This is all speculation. It's something we can ask in the interview. They might have had to agree on a sprite, and then that was the sprite that was chosen. They got the seed sent to them. Yeah, and I
so
don't blame.
as you said before, Flippers in being the first of the 2 Go Mode items to find, not really ideal, because now Swamp Palace has opened up, Ice Palace has opened up, a lot of additional locations possible for that last item, the Hookshot.
Yeah, can't complete Swamp, and then depending on how the keys are based in Ice Palace would also be out of logic for a completion. But I don't blame him at all for at least going to Laser Bridge. We'll see if he clears the dungeon if he doesn't find anything there. And Soul Devour looks like he's making the Spike Cave play. Or, nope, he's not. He's probably going to Turtle Rock himself. Ice can be out of logic depending on the key placement. You might need Hookshot. They can get into Ice Palace, they can get to certain chests where the Hookshot could potentially be, but if the keys are laid out wrong, then Coldstare himself would be behind the Hookshot. But we're going to get our Laser Bridge check here. And those lasers do not joke around. Green Mail, they deal 4 hearts of damage.
Yeah, Vitasia lining themselves up for the laser skip and then just electing to use the cave. Probably the most expedient avenue here, as they pick up the book.
And the shovel.
And the shovel. We're just opening up a whole lot of one-off locations here on Laser Bridge.
Okay, Vitasia has 1 heart left. Ooh, runs out of magic before he can make it there, though.
Yeah, that cape is a magic drain.
And I believe this last chest has to have, yep, small key.
And now we'll probably... Oh, electing to save and quit. So I did not count well enough to say whether they found every item in there, but given that save and quit, I've got to think that they're choosing to move on because everything is taken care of.
I do believe they found every item. However, it's interesting that you're that close to Trinex. You can kill Trinex, that you decide to kind of skip it. Because we don't know if it's a pedestal seed or not just yet. But you have the ability to check if it's a pedestal seed. So you could at least kill him, and then... Because if you check the pedestal now, you find out, it's like, okay, I got to run all the way through Turtle Rock again. And granted, it doesn't take as much time as a go mode, or, you know, full clear. It's still time you have to waste.
Yeah, Soul Devour, meanwhile, having to take the loop of shame, forgot they didn't have the hook shot, and then missing a fire rod shot, unfortunately. So they're taking their third trip through this little puzzle. Getting it correctly this time and unlocking the door.
And Vitasia's opting to go into ice. Or not. I lied. That's right,
Yeah.
Vitasia has not checked Zora at all yet. Or
Yeah.
he did not fake Flipper.
Having not fake flippered, all of these are now in logic for Vitasia.
So we'll see where he goes. So we know Hookshot's not up in Zora's area whatsoever. We've got nothing up there at all. And those Chain Chomps not wanting Soul Devour to get in that room at all.
Yeah, Soul Devour giving them the same level of respect that Vitasia did, and also doing a pretty good job of avoiding damage. Unfortunately, kind of boxed out here, but managing to make it around without taking any damage. Very nice work.
So I guess the question is, with it being hookshot to go mode at this point, you do have access to the left side of Swamp. You have access to Ice Palace, but depending on how the keys are set up, it's out of logic, or some of the chests are out of logic. Would you go check the pedestal, considering that the pedestal has been in logic for a good while now, before even thinking about diving into Ice Palace or Swamp Palace looking for that?
Ooh, I think having picked up the book, I think I would definitely at least make the tour around to pick up the Bombos tablet. The Ether tablet requires a climb up Death Mountain, and considering that our runners, well, Vitasia at least, just left Death Mountain after getting it, not ideal. As for the pedestal, yeah, I think just to be on the safe side, I would check it.
Soul Devour does have to be careful, as 1.5 hearts.
Yeah, and just electing to pop one of those blue potions there. Definitely not a dungeon that you want to die midway through.
Yeah, it was interesting, you know, since they found the book on Laser Bridge, you know, it opens Ether Tablet up, and they hadn't checked Spike Cave yet either. If they would have killed Trinex, it would have taken them to the beginning of Turtle Rock. They could have checked Ether and then ran Spike Cave, and completely cleared out Death Mountain at that point.
And getting a key in the first chest here, I believe, puts those chests that are behind hookshot into logic directly. I'm not 100% sure if that's unambiguously true, but it does give you a pretty good chance of having an extra key by the time you reach that the four-way junction.
Yeah, I think it depends on the other chests as well. Maybe. But yeah, it helps out when it comes to logic with the hookshot. Yeah, there still has not been a mail upgrade found. We're still sitting on green mail.
Yeah, and with still no silver arrows found, we're getting closer to go mode in the end game and looking at green mail tempered silverless, which is not the hardest fight possible, but still not an easy one.
Oh, I was going to be like, Vitasia's not going to do the bomb jump, but then decides to switch and go for bomb jump. Vitasia did do laser bridge. That looks good. Yep, there it goes. And from the looks of it, Soul Devourer is either going to clear or he's going out here to mirror and then flute. Looks like it's going to be a mirror to flute.
Yeah, so both of our runners having multiple opportunities to pick up a pendant in anticipation of a possible pedestal steed, electing to skip them, it seems.
Yeah, but it looks like Soul Devourer is routing this to the point where he's going to go check Ether Tablet since he's up here. And we'll see if he remembers about Spike Cave or not, since he'll be right there.
And Vitasia getting, I believe, the first non-dungeon item out of Ice Palace, just an arrow upgrade.
Well, that's a nice reward off the tablet. Not what you want to see, but you're not going to complain about half magic.
And getting a piece of heart from the second non-dungeon item in Ice Palace.
Yep, and Soul is going to be checking Spike Cave. That's a convenient place to find the big key. But just some bombs in Spike Cave.
Yeah, and without the hook shot, making the heads-up play to actually bomb open that location rather than dropping down and using the hook shot block push glitch to get through, as you see in 99% of the runs through Ice Palace.
Yeah, and I think the only room we have left to check at this point, outside of killing Cold Stare, is Ice Tea Room now.
I believe you're correct.
I know Vitasia has potions, thankfully, because he is going to need a full magic bar when he gets to Cold Stare.
Oh, and Soul Devour digging up a dirty, dirty hook shot, placing him into go mode.
Yep, that is huge. Because he has go mode swamp, go mode ice, and he just needs to dip back in a pod. So yeah, that means Turtle Rock was definitely the play to make. Flippers and Mimic, and Shovel on Laser Bridge to Hookshot.
Yeah, and Vitasia, of course, having those very same items, could now choose to make that play at any given time. So if immediately after finishing Ice Palace they jump in there, or jump over there, I suppose, and pick up that dig spot item, this can still be a very close race.
Yeah, because he will have Ice Palace completed. If he goes immediately to pick that up, then yeah, this is going to be very close at that point.
Vitasia, amazingly, still without Bombos, has not gone back to escape. So picking up some extra magic there to start to crack Cold Stare's shell. And it looks like they did get back up to full with those 2 magic refills in the last room before the boss. So they will be able to crack the shell without having to use a potion.
So right now, I put Vitasia slightly in the lead still. It really depends on how long it takes him to go check the shovel spot now. If he doesn't go check the shovel spot before Soul Devour finishes Swamp, then Soul Devour would be at the lead at that point, I believe.
Yeah, and Vitasia using those Tempered Sword slashes to finish off Cold Stare without too much trouble. And making good on the promise, the desire not to want to use any potions there, never refilling their magic, and using the sometimes quicker Fire Rod shots. So saving those safeties for the end.
Yeah, very, very nice. Cold Stare fight. Okay, Vitasia, where are you gonna go? Okay, so this isn't really gonna lose him that much time. I really won't lose him time at all, because Soul Devour needs to make this play as well.
Yeah, and even being in go mode, as Soul Devour has completely dipped pot as well, there's not really any time advantage they're going to get when they come back in and make this play.
Yeah, it'll just be execution based on any time lost or gained here. And if there was one more item in pod, then, you know, this wasn't a bad play to make, because you can clear it, and if he's got the hook shot, then you're done.
Yeah, and Soul Devour, not checking the 2 chests near the bottom here, but is checking this push block chest, probably hoping for the silver arrows or a mail upgrade as the last sort of important things that are going to make a difference on the final bosses in Ganon.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that he would skip those 2 chests, yet he checked the bombable. The chest behind the bombable wall, the second chest you find in Swamp. It's pretty much the same amount of time to check both of those with boots, but you get 2 locations.
Yeah, and as Vitasia makes his way over to Helmasaur King, Soul Devour not going to have any difficulty against Argus with Tempered Sword slashes, taking care of those puffs. Oh, and we may see the quick kill attempted here. Unfortunately, not quite getting it off, just managing the spin slash from the Tempered Sword.
Yep, but down goes Argus.
Yes, those 2 Fire Rod strikes together with the spin slash from the Tempered, enough damage to kill him.
And Vitasia is entering their King Helmasaur fight. And Soul Devourer is going to head to Ice Palace.
Oh, and Vitasia, unfortunately, just a little too fast for that fireball cancel. Taking a little bit of damage there, but still finishing off Helmasaur with a couple of quick tempered sword slashes to the head.
Yep, gets the compass, so there wasn't an item in here. Still not a bad play to make. Really kind of just probably a play for time, gives you a chance to think about what do I want to do. I need to find the hook shot, and what locations do I have, where's the best place for me to look right now. So really, if you want Vitasia to win, you want to see him flute to like 3 or 4. He did flute to 4. And you wanted him to go left. I was like, okay, never mind. He faked us out. He might be checking Bombos. But he could go up to the grove first and just mirror over there. Oh, wait, he's going to do Pyramid Fairy. He hasn't done that yet. Oh, nope. Oh, he's just doing all sorts of fake outs.
He's probably just cackling to himself right now, thinking about how he's juking out the commentators. Yeah, this does bode well, I think, for Vitasia's thought process, though. Taking care of these sort of one-off overworld locations suggests to me that after the big bomb turns out empty, we could see some tablet checks and the fateful shovel check that we need.
Yeah, it's like if he goes into, like, if he checks the shovel location, then he's a go mode swamp against, at that point, Soul will probably just be getting a cold stare, so they'll be going up Death Mountain fairly close to each other. Alright, Mirror's back, and we'll see where he flutes to.
Yeah, Soul Devourer with Half Magic and Bombos is going to have a possibly even quicker time of this cold stare fight than Vitasia did.
Okay, he's going to go Dark World again. We'll see if he's going to just mirror to the dig spot, or if he's going to check Bombo's tablet first. Nope, he is going to go check Bombos first.
And Soul Devourer also getting the quick spin to group up all of those cold stare puffs, and then dishing out the fire rod damage, having about the quickest cold stare fight that you reasonably can.
Yeah, and at this point, I would put Soul Devourer in the lead. I would say, really kind of depends how long Vitasia goes, but right now, if he immediately goes for Shovel right after this, I'd say probably about 3 to 4 minutes. And disrespecting Agana.
And getting those bombs given right back to him. And now from Light World, Vitasia coming up. Oh, looks like they're going back towards. Yeah, taking a right turn, heading back into the Dark World. Not sure whether they are maybe thinking about dipping Swamp, maybe going somewhere else, but this is almost certainly not the shovel play they need.
That's the only thing I can think of, unless they're planning on going to the dig spot and mirroring. Yep, they're gonna go in a swamp and hope the hook shot's in there.
Yeah, and now I think the only real advantage that they can get out of this is if they happen to find the silvers on the left hand on one of those chests that Soul Devour did not open while he was in here.
I mean, even if they do find, or if Vitasia does find silvers, the time loss of having to double dip into swamp isn't going to make up for that.
Yeah, no, they're still definitely behind at this point.
Doesn't mean the race is completely over yet. Soul Devour does have a very major advantage at this point. It's his race to lose. He's going to have to make mistakes, and Vitasia is going to need to get that hook shot as quickly as possible.
Yeah, a good key route differential between them, some falls on Ganon, and finding the silvers are the main points that can lead to difference at this point. Probably at this point we'll need all three of them to put Vitasia back in it.
Alright, but that is King Helmasaur down for Soul Devour's side, which means that is his 7th crystal. So you know what time it is, Estragon?
I believe I do. There is this little game that we like to play. 22 locations inside Ganon's tower that may contain the big key. Get your guesses in chat as to which of those locations it is, a number from 1 to 22, and we will be going off of Soul Devour's orders checked. And those of you who are subscribed to Speed Gaming or have donated 250 bits or more to any of the Speed Gaming channels, same for the subscription, any of the Speed Gaming channels is fair game, will get your guesses registered by the bot and have the potential to make it onto our vaunted leaderboard. Sir Lancelot, what is your guess for our big key position?
I'm gonna guess chest 17.
17, late in the run. I'm gonna say since I want to see Vitasia get back in it, and we need a lot of sort of lucky confluences to make that possible, I'm gonna go ahead and say 22.
Oh, and hope he gambles laser or the tile room right away.
Yeah, that's I think one of the few things that you can do at this point to make up a significant amount of time.
Yeah, that would make up a good amount of time if that happens, but we'll see if that's what happens or not. If you haven't gotten your guess in, you do have until Soul Devour enters Ganon's tower. As soon as he enters Ganon's tower, we do have to close the door on that.
Yeah, and we will see Vitasia checking that left side, see if he gets the one of the useful items. Oh, and without hookshot, does have to jump down there and check it twice. Just one more way that Swamp is made slower by not being able to go mode it. Oh, and Soul Devour taking a brief stop in to check the 3 chests that are left in Hookshot Cave, hoping for a mail upgrade or silvers themselves, presumably.
Yep, and Vitasia does not find... Well, there's silvers.
Okay, so that is a nail in the coffin, more or less, as Soul Devour is going to have one of the faster Ganon fights possible at this point.
Yeah, and Vitasia, from the looks of it, is going to head towards the shovel location now. Oh, nope, he's going to just skip the shovel location again. Oh, he remembers it, never mind.
Good. Yeah, I wonder if maybe finding it on Laser Bridge in quick succession with the book maybe sort of made them put it out of their mind, and then passing back on this location brought it back to the forefront. But yeah, they do pick it up, and they are going to immediately head back to Swamp Palace and finish that up.
Alright, so chest 1 was 10 arrows, chest 2 was a small key, so it looks like we are going right side.
Yeah, always so interesting to see the various routes that runners take through Ganon's Tower, and how it depends on their feelings about where they stand in the race, just their personal preferences to what they've practiced, their best guess about how the randomizer has laid things out. Lots of different choices to make, even in that very end stage of the run.
Yeah, and Soul Devour almost getting grabbed by that Wallmaster. Alright, chest 3 is 5 bomb upgrade, piece of heart 4, big key and 5.
And Soul Devour does continue on to pick up that small key that is necessary to successfully climb the center path of Ganon's Tower, and will start to make his way up.
Yep, starts his way up Ganon's Tower, and looks like we didn't get anybody completely guess it correctly. Our closest guess was from Clipit123, who guessed number 7. So that will add you to the leaderboard still, though. So congratulations.
Appropriate, perhaps, given that we've got our good friend Clippy as our bunny sprite, and Clippit wins the leaderboard spot.
Yeah, and that mirror shield paying off. Even though he had it for Laser Bridge, which helps immensely, having it for these red mimics makes them so much easier.
I just wish it worked on the eye lasers, because those are the things that beat you up here in Ganon's Tower. Or at least they beat me up.
Still using the more common strat that I've been seeing recently, just jumping off the bridge to get the iframes, then sprinting across the bridge.
Yeah, if you've got the hearts and the available current health for it, it's a lot easier than trying to make a setup that gets you across there.
Yeah, and still quicker than having to walk across, because I know it can be very hard to actually get a good sprint.
And with plenty of silver arrows left in the quiver, is going to use them judiciously here on his way up the gauntlet for those one-hit kills.
Yeah, and Vitasia takes down Argus, so he'll have his 7th crystal now, and he will be on the way to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, and with that late hook shot, I've got to imagine Vitasia feeling kind of behind here. We may see that draw them into that full right side play that will turn out to be the correct one.
Yeah, he might have felt good about the Turtle Rock gamble that he made and getting the item, seeing flippers there, but, having checked Ice Palace and then dipping into Swamp Palace before checking those locations probably feels behind at this point.
Does stop off at Witch's Hut, though, to refill the potions. When you're coming from anywhere other than Turtle Rock, this doesn't really lose, more than 20 seconds, and is always nice to have those extra safeties.
Yeah, and because of the fact that they don't have, or I guess he has powder. He found powder. Soul Devour, I know he went for potions as well, but he doesn't have powder, so that makes a bit more sense when it comes to that, since he can't just powder the many antivirus you find in Ganon's Tower.
Absolutely. And unless we see it in these last 3 chests here, both of our runners are going to be on green mail as they come up into Ganon. So 13 hearts in green mail, still kind of scary if you get hit by a hug.
Yeah, Ganon's hugs are no joke on green mail. I don't know if we'll see Soul actually check those since he has silvers. Yep, he'll check them. Give some more arrows to give to Ganon.
And some rupees that are not going to be spent. And as you say, not having picked up the powder, that room in particular, an ideal spot to refill your health by powdering that anti-fury. Not an option for Soul Devour at this point.
Yeah, and those rupees will be spent. Link will be nice and help his uncle out with medical bills.
Yeah, he's got to recover somehow. Don't know what kind of healthcare system Hyrule has.
I mean, considering you need to pay 500 rupees for swimming lessons, probably not that great. Alright, but Vitasia enters Ganon's tower. As Soul Devour is getting to the top of the tower, we'll see if Vitasia goes right side. Gets the key, and he is not going to go right side, though, so it's going to take him even longer to get that key now. We do get a double.
Oh, and this is a custom-made triple lineup, but not quite able to get in position, just gets the single.
Alright, down goes Aga 2.
Oh, and Vitasia, of course, having not checked Hookshot Cave on his way up, will be doing Silverless Ganon. So just sort of one further thing that's going to push them back just that little bit.
Alright, Soul Devour starts his Ganon fight. You're going to need 12 strikes in phase 1 and 2, 4 strikes in phase 3, and since he's got silvers, 4 arrows to Ganon to finish him off.
Yeah, and with half magic and the cape, there are lots of options here for doing a quick kill on pretty much any phase of Ganon that you want. And yeah, electing to use that cape in the most optimal location, the second phase, getting those 12 hits in just one cycle.
Yep, so we're in phase 3 now, 4 hits. Vitasia's in the rando room. There's our first male upgrade.
They had to be somewhere. And Soul Devour gets the quick first hit off on Ganon.
And the torch glitch.
And the torch glitch. Yes, very nice.
Almost gets the double. And down goes Ganon. GG to Soul Devour.
Absolutely. Finishing up here with a official SRTV time of 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 26 seconds. Very nice sub 2 for a seed that was, in a few ways, kind of trolly. Okay, and we do have Soul Devour here in the setup room. Looks like they're going to take care of a quick mic issue, and then we will try to pull them in for an interview. Vitasia, meanwhile, having finished up Ice Armos, is coming over to the successful, or big key containing right-hand side here.
Alright, looks like Soul Devour is ready to come in, so we're going to pull him in for an interview.
Alright, I'm ready.
Okay, and we have here with us Soul Devour. Soul Devour, GG. Congratulations, and thank you for the great race.
GG, it was a lot of fun.
So, how about that pendant turtle rock, huh?
You know, when I was practicing, it seemed like pendant T-Rock always had some kind of value in it, so it's like, I should probably go here.
Yeah, we were talking on commentary as you were making that play about the difficulties in making that decision, trying to decide whether to hop down to Meyer, all of the other sort of semi-locations that are available to you, and you ended up going into Turtle Rock. Ended up being the right play.
T-Rock delivers again. I got really suspicious when I saw that shovel because in my first race of the tournament, shovel actually up the mirror, so I'm like, let me just check on this real quick.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because that's actually one of the big factors that sets you apart from Vitasia near the end here. They were coming up, finishing things in a couple of different order, but they were maybe about even in terms of completion around the time that you were finishing Turtle Rock, and they instead of taking care of shovel first, elected to take care of a couple one-off locations, and in the end, dipped into swamp without the hook shot before going over there and finding that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm definitely not a fan of going into swamp without hook shot if I can avoid it.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of, you kind of had that interesting moment there where you checked Turtle Rock, saw that it was Quake, and didn't have it at that point, and then finished up the rest of Death Mountain and had both of your medallions for both of the medallion dungeons at that point. Was it just the sheer item density of Turtle Rock that pulled you in there, or Was it finding the medallion that made you think, okay, I gotta go in, or just some combination thereof?
It was the item density, and just a lot of times I've run into value in T-Rock, particularly really deep in the T-Rock. And once again, the shovel was in the deepest part, and once again, I'm like thinking to myself, how does Pendant T-Rock keep doing this?
Yeah, it's always a fun time, it feels like.
And when I found all the items really early in like Thieves Town, I'm like, I need to make a decision now. Am I gonna bother to kill Blind and collect all the pendants, or am I just gonna leave and just assume that it's not a pendant seed just because odds of a pendant seed or pedestal seed are just on the low end?
Yeah, it was, excuse me, kind of interesting. You also picked up the book there, and we were kind of wondering whether you might go over there and check pedestal just to, you know, sort of clear your mind. Both of you, in the end, passing up the Thieves Town pendant and the Turtle Rock pendant, even though you were both very close to them at various points.
Yeah, it was just a gamble that I decided to take because the odds of pedestal just seemed too low to really take that risk.
Yeah, and another kind of interesting point, not ending up making too much of a time difference, but you were the only one to get a bomb drop and escape. And in fact, Vitasia heading up Ganon's Tower now, still never having gone back into escape and picking up their Bombos medallion.
Oh, yeah, when I saw that bomb drop at the very beginning of the game, I'm like, wow, if that's not a good omen, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and our thought was that the Rat prize pack must just not contain any bomb drops, because Vitasia farmed, geez, must have been close to 15 of them, and just had no joy.
Yeah, I've seen that happen many, many times before, and it's just like, you really want to see a bomb drop, because you really don't want to have to go in there. Just in case there's like, worst case scenario, gloves, then it's like, I have to walk all the way back in here.
Yeah, and speaking of gloves, seeing those gloves on Lumberjack Ledge immediately, what sort of went through your head, and what influenced your decision about when you finally made that Aga 1 play that you knew was going to be required?
Oh hey, gloves, what a surprise, Aga Seed. I better make sure to go do that as soon as it's reasonable. And reasonable came to a point where it's like, did I get all my easy checks done? Which for me was after, I believe it was my first trip up Death Mountain. After I did that, I'm like, okay, I think I'm good to go into Aga.
Yeah, definitely. And that was another one of the differences between the two of you. Vitasia elected to head into Aga 1 before checking Death Mountain, and so was up there with Fighter Sword instead of Master Sword.
Oof, yeah. But the bow is a good compliment. Like, the bow hits pretty hard, so if you can line up your shots nicely, having the bow over Master Sword isn't too bad. Yeah,
absolutely. Not really a terrible time difference, but as a peace of mind thing going up Aghanim's Tower, very nice to have.
Oh, absolutely. There was no peace of mind with mail upgrades, though. The whole seed, I'm thinking to myself, why can't I find any of these?
Well, we did find one of them. Vitasia ended up getting the key, the first two chests in Ganon's Tower, and then went left side. So we did find the blue mail in the rando room. We don't know where the second one is, though.
Oh, that's good. Oh, so that just means that the sprite doesn't change at all.
Yeah, I think maybe the 1 pixel outline of the mouse cursor changes for mail types, but I can't see it at all on the commentary stream, so it's also possible that it just doesn't change.
Yeah, I've hopped into the actual channel at this point, and it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, actually, as Vitasia starts on Aga 2 here, that was something that we did want to ask you about. We know that you had some technical difficulties getting the seed genned and distributed. Did you both choose the cursor seed, or what was the story there?
Well, one of us was having problems getting the seed to actually load up for them, and we try to just have other people give him the seed and just try and get him the seed, but it just never happened. So we got another seed rolled to us, and it came with a cursor.
Okay, so that's really interesting. And I'm thinking back now. I think you got your Ice Palace bomb jump first try. Do you line that up using the shadow, or did you just sort of YOLO it with the sprite?
It's the shadow. I just find that the shadow is the best way to line it up. So I use that shadow to find the 2-3 pixels, and it's like, all right, I'm good. Let's try and line up. And I'm kind of surprised I got that first shot, but a pleasant surprise, to be sure.
Yeah, no, definitely, especially under the circumstances.
I gotta say, with that cursor, though, there were multiple points in the room where I'm like moving my mouse. I'm like, why isn't this thing moving out of the way? And it's like, oh, it's actually my sprite. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's got some fun animations. We both on comms here saw the Bunny Beam sprite for the first time. Getting a glance at Clippy there.
Oh, that was great. I'm like, wow, that's fantastic when I saw it.
And also, you weren't the only one that was moving their mouse. A lot of people in chat thought it was their mouse cursor as well.
I don't know. I might have to use it some more later in the tournament. It might grow on me.
Yeah, brings you good luck, right? Got you the win.
I mean, it was a pretty challenging seed, and I mean, Vitasia, I mean, he's definitely pulling it out here himself, and you gotta give a lot of credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Vitasia, not stopping by Hookshot Cave to pick up those silvers, is doing a great job on Silverless so far. Don't think that they've missed a single one of the possible vulnerable hits. Up until, of course, then I just cursed it, and they take 2 fire bat shots.
Yep, commentator's curse.
My going at the hook shot was pretty much like, you know, there's 3 items here. Why don't we just check it, just because?
But that does, with the win, that does put you at 1-2. How are you feeling about the next 4 weeks?
Well, I guess I'm going to be practicing some more. I've been trying to just do a seed a day just to keep myself sharp, and I feel like my execution's gotten better from when I first started, but man, routing still gets me sometimes, just trying to figure out where to go. So I'm a little worried about what the seeds will bring for me.
And Vitasia finishing off the Silverless Ganon here. Going to be finishing with a Speed Racing TV official time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 53 seconds. Give him your GGs. That was a great final Ganon fight.
GG, and we'll see if we can get Vitasia in here for a interview. Looks like he's... Yep.
Okay, so I think we've got Vitasia in here. Vitasia, GG. Great Silverless Ganon there at the end.
Man. I was feeling really good about that T-Rock dive, man.
Yeah, and the T-Rock dive, ultimately the right play. It got you the items that you needed, and it was just that decision at the end that took you out of it.
Oh, it was dipping into swamp and then immediately afterwards going to the shovel spot and finding the hook shot.
It was actually more than that. I mean, it was the shovel. That was the ultimate thing, because you did make the T-Rock dip first. Devour mentioned when we were interviewing him that he got burned on the shovel in an earlier race, so he checked it right away. So he's able to go mode ice, go mode swamp, and then just rush to Helmasaur whereas you went to Clear Ice Palace and then the dip in a swamp.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean that if I'm gonna lose a race from a shovel spot, I'm like, okay, that I get it. It sucks, but yeah.
Yeah, and with the items that you pulled out of T-Rock, the book and the shovel, you had a lot of one-off locations to check regardless, and so it's just a matter of do you check it or don't you?
Yeah, and I had already routed kind of over in that area before because I pulled the mirror, so I'm like, nothing really pulled me over into the shovel spot. So after I dipped into Swamp Palace, I'm like, okay, well let's go ahead and do the mitts with or the hammer pegs, and it's right over here. And oh wait, I got the shovel, didn't I? Well, let's check this while I'm here. Oh,
yeah, we saw you going around and then make the double back to shovel, and we thought that must have been the moment at which you thought, yeah, I need to check this.
yeah, that was the exact moment. Oh well, I mean, that sucks. I mean, GG to Soul Devour. That was Pendant T-Rock is always one of those things that you have to like double check yourself. Do I really want to do?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because you were in two very different locations at the time that Soul Devour got the hook shot from the dig spot, but you were very close up to that point. It was really just came down to that kind of final routing as to who entered Ganon's Tower first.
Yeah, that made sense. I was like super nervous the entire game. As you guys can probably tell, my execution is, shall we say, subpar. So having green mail like the whole way through, I was sweating bullets the whole time.
I was right there with you, man. I was right there with you.
Yeah, especially very early in the seed. Both of you on, I think one of you on 5 hearts, one of you on 6 hearts, and on green mail, and spending a lot of time in the dark world before actually finding any additional heart containers. Some very tense moments there.
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, GG Soul Devour, great win. Congratulations on still being in. I have another comp that I have to get ready to get to, so I'm going to take a quick break and then get ready for that. GG though, everyone. Thank you, and thank you, Sir Link-A-Lot and Estragon for comms, dudes.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks to both of you for a great race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. GG.
GG Vit. It was a lot of fun racing you.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so Soul Devour, any last thoughts here about the seed before we start to wrap up?
Never stop believing in the shovel.
Those fetch quest items, man, they will give you the goods every single time. Yeah, and so with that, the time right now is just about 6:45 Eastern time. We do have a race currently going on Speed Gaming 3, DocuHorror versus Load Pill, I believe. So you can hop on over to that. If you want to see a race from the start, then in just 15 minutes, we are going to have Tief Blau versus Trencher TR on ALTTP Randomizer 4, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Also, the Vinyl Knight versus Tim Lobo, starting on ALTTP Randomizer, the one without the number at Eastern Time, and Vash 1978 versus Grand Pooh Bear on ALTTP Randomizer 2 at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So it is the packed hour. You can just pop all those on multi-Twitch, just freebase 3 races directly into your eyeballs and have a grand old time.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you actually missed 2 of them. There's 2 more races that start at 7.
Oh, wow. Do we have additional restream? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
I didn't scroll down all the way, even.
Yeah, we have 5 races starting at 7. There's also Kida Seth versus Raikou Rider on Speed Gaming 2, and RD Walsh V versus Myth 197 on Speed Gaming 4. Those are all starting in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I believe that is more than multi-Twitch will support. So I think your option here is just to open those in 5 tabs, turn all of them off of mute and listen to 10 commentators talking simultaneously, just directly into your body. Just absorb the Link to the Past randomizer.
And if that's not enough randomizer for you, I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I certainly don't know what I'm going to go watch, but I do know that I'm going to go watch one of them. And with that, I've been Estragon Zero. With me has been Linkalot777. Any last thoughts on the seed, Linkalot?
No, it was a great seed. The shovel at the very end, Laser Bridge of Turtle Rock, because where else would it be? Was a fun seed, great to commentate with you, and I know she is no longer in the chat with us, but thank you to Yoinker's wife for tracking for us, and thank you to everybody behind the scenes for the restream.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of work goes into getting everything taken care of, and the little technical glitch that we had at the beginning here just goes to show how smooth this tournament has been. So great job to everybody. Great job to you for sticking through it and watching and listening with us. And we've been happy to have you, and we will be happy to see you for future races. Thanks for watching, and see you later.
Good night, everybody.